rating for this game is a 7.5 out of 10. I do like this game. It is very fun and is just good.
Objection!
This game does not deserve a 7 out of 10. Who do you think you are giving such a score to a mediocre game like this one?
Hello everybody, Jaybills Games here, and welcome back to another review.
Hold it!
Wait, that was me? In 2016, I was hard at work with my channel, consistent uploads, reviews making its debut that year. Bright-eyed and ready to put in work and make some people laugh. I've made many mistakes in these last few years, some that hurt their channel and ultimately hurt me in the end. But now, it's time to go back in time, correct myself and fix a mistake that I couldn't let slide. And that was giving this thing a 7 out of 10. I mean, look at this! And so now, I, Jaybills Games, will go on this adventure of correcting this mistake and really give this game what it deserves. Brace yourself, because this is about to get ugly. Back on July 22nd of 2016, I was inspired to start making reviews on my favorite video game franchises, and the obvious one that came to mind was Crash Bandicoot above all. Being inspired by people like my good friend Squire Jack, I decided to take a crack at it myself and do something I wanted to do for a while, but I was too shy to actually proceed with the idea. Here we are though, I went along with it, and we embarked on the journey of reviewing every Crash Bandicoot game in the franchise. And my god, do I regret it fully. Not only were these old reviews a complete cringe fest, but they are very choppy with editing and audio. And sure, I was using this crappy laptop I have now with Windows Live Movie Maker and my built-in laptop mic. Sure, but I still think to this day it wasn't a good idea reviewing all the Crash Bandicoot games. Not just because of the shitty and lack of equipment, but sitting here today and looking back, I wasn't sure how I didn't see myself getting sick of it and dropping the reviews for the franchise. It was just a bore, and we left on a complete cliffhanger. Yup, that's right, we left on a cliffhanger with Twinsanity. I don't mean to pull a Sly Cooper leaving stuff on a cliffhanger, but I just could not put myself through it and finish up the reviews. I wanted to review other stuff and leave Crash Bandicoot behind in terms of reviews. But looky here, after taking a stroll through memory lane comparing old reviews to my most current one, I stumbled upon this pile of Bandicoot dick. Now if you're wondering why I'm talking so harshly about this specific review, just take a look at the final score. A 7 out of 10? That's a complete sin. The score couldn't be more wrong in my eyes. I guess things could have gotten worse because it was almost an 8, but my god, what was I thinking? Looking back at the bullcrap, I decided I needed to drag this franchise back for one final review and take one last look at Crash Bash. Hopefully it isn't that bad.
You have too many players.
Instant regret. So to sum up the story for this game, Aku Aku and Uka Uka are arguing and being a bunch of cacks, and to settle the good versus evil they bring in all the characters from the Crash universe, including Captain Dick Cheese Kong over here, and split the teams evenly and get thrown into a bunch of mini-games to compete in. I'm not even going to get into the completely dumb decision of how they split the teams up and how Embryo isn't on the good team, because I think it's obvious at this point. Sure, you could point out the fact that I'm beating the dead horse by making fun of Rillaroo like every other person in existence that's reviewed this game, but hey, it's fun and well deserved, because Rillaroo sucks. For the story mode, you could play as any character from either side. I stuck with Team Good, and naturally, I picked Sonic. The main objective of Crash Bash is to go through all the mini-games, collecting trophies to progress and reach the final boss, Oxide. And honestly, some of these mini-games are kind of fun. I do enjoy the 4-way Pong game to an extent, and I like the box throwing games a lot, same with the polar riding ones. However, I really found all these mini-games fun when I played it with my friends. Going into all these mini-games solo is a different story. It's not really fun. For starters, you have to beat a minigame 3 goddamn times in a row to actually earn a trophy and progress through the world. To me, that's a bit much, and it's not really fun. If anything, it just gets very tedious after the first world. Besides trophies, you can collect other stuff like gems, crystals, and relics, and when you play challenges for those items, you only need to win once. And it usually adds a little something to make the minigames a bit more challenging and brings you closer to an inevitable heart attack. Pong minigames are alright, it's pretty self-explanatory, just knock and push away the balls and hit them in the other player's goal and get their life down to 0. There's other versions of it, like the shitty one with Engine, And probably my favorite one here is this one. You have the ability now to hold on to the balls for a short amount of time, being able to hold up to about 4 or 5, and you could shoot them out all at once for an all-out attack. It's pretty neat, I guess. The polar minigames are alright too, but out of all the versions there are for it, I prefer the plain old original one. I can care less for other versions. They just make it a bit more annoying in my opinion. The Crate Crush games might be the best ones, and my favorite is the one in the future theme. Throwing these TNT crates destroys the ground beneath you, and it was always fun setting up your friends and the AI to fall to their deaths. And then we have the Pogo Stick minigames. Yeah, they're there. Again, I don't really care for the other versions of all the minigames here. Playing them solo is whatever. But with friends, it's fun, I guess. There are other minigame types like racing around a mini track and completing certain laps, tank games, abomination, balloon popping, you name it. And my god, they're all terrible for the most part. Nothing screams bitter loneliness like playing a mediocre party game all by yourself. The boss fights in this game aren't all that great either. You have characters like Papu Papu, Bearminator, Komodo Mo, Joe, and Oxide. Papu Papu's fight is kinda lame. All you do is throw crates at the guy, avoiding stuff like hits from his staff and these creepy little Crash clones. The offs himself anyways at the end. It's a physical representation of me when playing this game. He wants to leave it as much as I do. Bearminator's fight, all you do is knock robot puppies off the rink with Polar, avoid rockets, and shoot him with rockets as well. And the arena shrinks as you play through. Komodo Mo and Joe are annoying. You use the tank to destroy their giant base, which takes a good bit, and then after you destroy that, you have to fight the both of them. And you have to do all this on 1 life. So you'll probably find yourself dying a few times. Then finally, you go up against Oxide. You chase him down in space, avoiding crap, have a pong match with him, and bam, it's over. Wow. I think today I realized that the boss fights in this game are just bad. They really aren't fun at all. They're very bland and messy. It's not like it's the first in the franchise because 90% of Crash Bandicoot's boss fights are very underwhelming, but I had a hell of a lot more fun and actually enjoyed most boss fights in the original trilogy and even CTR. Way more than this crap we got here in Crash Bash. Another thing that just really isn't great in this game is the soundtrack. There's only a few songs I care to remember and that I actually like. And that's the loading screen theme and the warp room theme. And yeah, that's about it. All the other music just doesn't sound very Crash Bandicoot to me. The other songs aren't horrible by any means, but they're very forgettable, and it doesn't really fit the theme of the level. And it's not very Crash-like. The one that stands out to me the most is Pogo Padlock, and it stands out to me for all the wrong reasons. This song sounds like background music for a porno.
It's time to stop!
Who here listens to Crash Bandicoot music and the first thing that pops into their mind is porno music from Tawna and Crash's sex tape? Dear God, I have just cursed this channel to oblivion. Crash Bash is not a good game. It's a mediocre experience. I find the game only fun with friends, but even so, that doesn't make it a good game whatsoever. Anything could be fun with friends, even bad games. I feel like once you go through the first 2 worlds, or even the first world, you pretty much experience all Crash Bash has to offer. It's a game that tried rivaling the Mario Party series that fell flat on its face. Mario Party is actually fun. Crash Bash isn't. It's a boring and slow game that gets old very, very quick. And the single player is nothing but a tedious mess with mediocre boss fights. Most of the minigames aren't fun, and it just isn't satisfying collecting everything. It isn't worth your time. It's only a fun time killer with friends, but let's be real here, I think anyone that comes over to your house would not pick this game to play. It'll be fun for like 20 minutes before you both get bored and realize you could actually play something that's good. Just because a game can be fun with friends does not excuse it for being a bad title. This game does not get Crash Bandicoot, and lacks the same charm the other 4 games before it had, especially with the music. One of the main staples in a Crash game that has to be good in my opinion. For the first and only time in this channel's history, I'm revoking my original score for this title. Crash Bash gets a 4.5 out of 10. Crash Bash really is just a mess of a game, and it's a bit baffling that people genuinely want to see a remake on it. I think it's a terrible idea. That goes for Twinsanity, and every other game in the franchise along with that. There's not a thing you could do to convince me it's a good idea and that it should happen. This franchise will get ran into the ground with these continuous remakes. It's time to move on from the past and look forward to the future with this franchise. And now with that being said, it's time for me to move on to other reviews. Maybe one day I'll return and review the other Crash Bandicoot titles, who knows. But for now, I'd rather bring you guys more variety and more fun with other fantastic games and other awesome topics. Thank you so much for the recent support on my other reviews like the Getaway and the Bubsy review. The support on there has been amazing. The love and support I get from you guys is awesome, and I cannot wait to push this channel further and really bring you guys some good stuff. I know I've been inconsistent beyond words, but stay tuned because there is plenty more where that came from, and I hope you are excited as I am.